Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 211 with myself, Phil Gerbyshak, and guest Rob Balasabas. Hopefully I've said that right, Rob. So Rob's at Thinkific, but I'm going to bring Phil on. Phil's going to do the introduction here, tell you a little bit more about Rob while I do a couple of things behind the scenes, and we're going to kick off this week's show. And we've got a fantastic show for you, lots and lots of topics to talk about as usual, because in social media, there's always something new, always something changing, whether they're testing something out or they're making updates to basically help move the industry along. So, Phil, how are you doing this week?
Hey, I'm fantastic, Christian. It's great to be here, man. It's really fun to talk to the folks over at Thinkific. Rob's a really smart guy. He's a video content creator.
Definitely.
He's done a lot of cool stuff. So, really excited to talk to him. He's, loves live streaming like we do. He's a social media marketer, and he's at Thinkific, which is really fun. So really good organization there. They have a great product, and we're excited. We're going to actually feature them later on today as we talk about the tools that we have in tool time. So stay tuned, folks. You really are going to be in for a great show with Rob Balasabas. So really fun to do. Lots of stuff, as you said, Christian, lots of interesting moves that the networks have made, a lot of future stuff that you can use this week or eventually in the future. If you strategize right, I mean, the thing we always talk about on the show is you got to have a strategy before you go ahead to tactics. You got to think about the people you serve before you think about how you're going to serve them. So it's really important. And that's where we're going to get smarter with Rob today. We're going to talk about being more strategic and how that actually plays. So super excited that we get to talk to him.
So I'm going to go bring Rob on. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Fantastic, by the way. So, Phil, you want to tell viewers a little bit about Rob?
So Rob, like we said, is at Thinkific. He's a social media community strategist. He's in Vancouver, which is part of Canada. So that's a whole country there for those of you unfamiliar with the area. And we're really excited he's here. Rob, it's 7 a.m. with you. So how do you start your morning, dude?
Yeah, no, 7. So actually, I'm at home right now, but it's usually 7 o'clock. I'm at the office already, so I'm an early bird. So I just like to get things done a little early, and then just get it all done. So usually with a coffee. I don't know if anyone's been to Canada, but Timmy's double.
Yeah.
Is there Tim Horton, right? Tim
Hortons double. That's how I start my day. So,
excellent. So how close are you to the Timmy's, man?
2 blocks.
2 blocks. That's awesome.
To be fair, there's like a Timmy's in like every other corner here. So
well, it's like Starbucks here in the States. So I've got my little orange cup, right, matches the glasses. So the key is brand for me. One of these days, Christian and I will get some Social Chef's cups that we can green ones that we can share with our guests as well. Because it's over 200 episodes. Christian, what number are we on today?
We're at 211. Man, this is unbelievable. So
Wow. Hey, and Secret Christian, you don't even know this. Guess what, buddy? The podcast is out.
Awesome. Fantastic, brother.
Podcast is out.
Fantastic news.
Folks, if you're listening and you're thinking, boy, I'd like to put this just between my ears, check out the podcast. You'll see that there's episode 0s out there. And from episode 200 to 207 is there. We should have up through 211 by the end of next week. And then we'll go every week. We'll have a new show for you. And Rob, yours will be up there too, man. So thanks for being on today.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Good for you guys. It's hard to be consistent and do this like over 200 episodes. I would know, you're doing like a regular running show. So congrats to both of you.
Thank you. So I'm ready to go. Are you guys ready to go?
Yeah, let's rock it, man. Let's rock it. So, we'll talk more about rocketing it later. Little sneak peek there to one of the other apps we're going to talk about. But let's talk about something really simple. Let's talk about a little stupid change that Twitter did. We can start there because this will just take us a minute or two to cover. I think it's fun, right? We've got Twitter decided that they're going to filter our direct messages. And the funniest thing to me is the responses that people gave. They're losing their mind over the fact that Twitter is filtering. It's really funny. People are asking them, what about blocking Nazis instead of filtering Twitter tweets? What about this? What about that? And I got to tell you, I think this is much ado about nothing. People are just whining, and this is actually a good thing. Rob, do you manage how many Twitter accounts do you manage, and do you think this is a big deal for you and businesses like you?
I mean, it's not such a huge deal for us. I mean, we do. So I manage my own Twitter, my own personal, of course, and then Thinkific as well. And so we don't get that many direct messages. Typically, I will send direct messages. So it's a thing that I use when we go to conferences, for example. So I'll go through the hashtags and say, okay, social media marketing world, for example. I'll go through and and see who the hashtags are and who's going to be attending. Any influencers are going to be attending, and then saying like, hey, starting the conversation before we even get there. But other than that, we don't really get too many direct messages. Twitter is not one, I would say probably, of sort of like the major social channels, Twitter's probably lower on that list for us as far as, engagement with our users. It's more of an extension of support, I think, which is a lot of, for a lot of, tech companies and brands out there, Twitter becomes sort of like the extension of support. So it's like people will go to Twitter to ask for support questions. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge impact for us. How about you guys?
I think overall, I mean, we get a lot more, I'd say, spam via, Twitter direct messages. I know you can have, for example, on Twitter, if you have customer service, customer support channels, you can add that to your main profile, show people, for example, where they need to go and contact you, because depending on the volume you get, you may want to have that separate channel. I think overall, I mean, honestly, this is, it's a feature that should have been there pretty much from the start. The ability to filter direct messages. I mean, Facebook has this, they've had this for quite a while, which was the other inbox. Now on Twitter, the same thing's gonna happen. I think from a business perspective, though, for me at least, the big win here is that, hey, you're going to see a bunch of, notifications on your Twitter account, for example, and now you're not going to have to actually go and check all of those, because they're going to automatically filter all the junk out, whether that's spam or accounts that they, that might have curse words and things like that in it. So I think that's a big win from that perspective. Overall, big deal. I'm glad they added another way to filter and to help do it for you. But again, it's not that big of not that big of an update, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's just pay attention to this, folks. Make sure you check your other folder. That's all you need to do. If you do that, you're going to be good to go. I actually think this will cut down on spam. And if you encourage folks to follow, and then you follow them back, right? You listen and listen back. I think this is actually a great opportunity for you to genuinely grow your following on Twitter. Because if you do a great job of support and engaging with your community, with the folks that Rob has built up, because he's a community manager, this could really help you very well. So much ado about nothing. Do pay attention, though. So good stuff.
Yeah, and just a couple of quick things, by the way, for those of you who want to actually test this out, it's rolling out across iOS, Android, as well as the web. If you want to get it on iOS or Android, just go to your device's app store, update your app, and then you should be able to go into your direct messages and basically see what you have going on there. And remember, you won't see any of the messages that are getting filtered out. They're going to go to the other inbox. So we have a video here, obviously, with that. So that covers Twitter, basically. Where do you guys want to go next?
Oh, well, you know what? Why don't we quickly pop over to Logitech acquiring Streamlabs for about $89 million, which many people are going to say, well, Streamlabs, adding gaming? What does this have to do with business? But I think this actually has a lot to do with business. I think this is going to be an opportunity to take advantage of influencer marketing in ways almost like adding a banner ad to the bottom of your live videos, which is pretty darn cool. It's one of the things that we get to do using StreamYard, but it isn't an interactive banner, so it's not like it's clickable, right? It's not clickable yet. So this is pretty cool. I don't know, Rob, what do you think about this?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because monetization for people that are doing live streams is starting to become a thing. I know, like, for example, monetization I talk to a lot of YouTubers, and so monetization is always on top of their mind. For a lot of live streamers, I think for now, they are okay with using live streams as a way to get more exposure, more awareness, more top of funnel. That's what they use live streams for. But they're starting to be more and more thinking about how do I monetize this? How do I get, sponsorships? How do I, get, affiliate, affiliate revenue and things like that. So this is an interesting play. It might be something that more, live stream platforms and tools will come together on. But yeah, really interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I think this is potentially really big. Monetization, awareness, and I would argue community building, because now we can advertise, like drive people back to the Facebook group, drive them off to Thinkific, drive them somewhere where there's some community there where they can actually get more involved and maybe get some more one-on-one action with YouTuber. Because if you think about it, right, you got 100,000 viewers, 10,000 of them are really engaged. You got 1,000 to 500 to 1,000, maybe 1,500 that are super fans. If you give them an easy way to go back, and you now can then track that URL and potentially retarget that, I think this is a big deal. What do you think, Christian? What are you thinking about this one?
I think this is a really important update, especially from one perspective is Logitech. They make webcams, so they make webcams. They make let's see what else they have. They sell presentation tools, for example, like your remotes and things like that. And while there's the gaming aspect, I think this also could factor into being software that, again, maybe it gets included with the Logitech camera. Maybe it becomes another way for Logitech to generate revenue because, for example, like how many webcams do you guys have? So like I have one webcam and I got one on my laptop. So I've got one external webcam. How about you, Phil? Any extra webcams?
Sure. Yeah, I've got an external. I've actually got a Logitech up on top, right? For sure. I've got my phone. That's kind of 2. I've got the one that's built into my MacBook is 3, right? So for sure, man, I think that's a great idea, right?
And how about you, Rob? One webcam, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So just like Phil. So Logitech, my MacBook one, and then I have my phone. Yeah. So that's
So what I'm getting at with that basically is that, there is no need, for example, for somebody to have purchased multiple Logitech webcams, for example. So if I'm Logitech, I want to find additional revenue streams, and that's where I could see this being very useful, if they start to package this. Now, in addition to this, I'm a big Amazon fan. I love all of the things that they're doing with their products. They're really starting to push the industry forward, especially with all those Alexa products they just launched. So I also think that because Amazon owns Twitch, that this might be a play as well for Logitech to try and stay relevant. It's not just about buying webcams, but they have to also have a platform to make it easier for people to get on, and do some live streaming. So I think by having maybe the monetization built in, maybe they have the webcam as well as a package, they might be able to one-up Amazon there for gamers, for example, or people that want to monetize their live streams.
Well, maybe, but here's the challenge with that, right? If they go too aggressively, Amazon's going to de-rank them in their rankings magically, or they're going to rip them off and build over the top. Come on now. Amazon does that. Let's not lie. Amazon reverse engineers everything. Amazon Basics, in fact, I'm wearing a pair of dress pants today, Amazon Basics, that I would normally expect to pay $125 for, that I paid $25 for. Holy crap. I mean, come on. So here's my challenge with that. I think you're right, Christian. This could go head-to-head, but Logitech needs to have a store then that is more comparable, right? So that's another thing that they could do is you could say, so like show the equipment. That's one of the things that I'd like to see. The best YouTubers, I'd like to see that right away, boom, on there, it could say share equipment with an affiliate link that then drives back to Logitech. So, and really cutting out Amazon. I think that's an opportunity. Well, I mean, all of us live streamers, right? I get asked, gosh, I can't count how many times I get asked, so what microphone do you use? What camera do you use? What software do you recommend? I mean, and if I could preload that up, right, and it could pop, I think that could be, super duper simple and super duper helpful.
And now Amazon also has, by the way, speaking of Amazon, they do have the ability to set up basically a sales page as well for all of the products and services, for example, that you recommend through Amazon. So that's also an option. But I think this is a big play. I mean, Streamlabs, it's a fantastic tool. But at the same time, I mean, it's good to see that it's actually getting acquired by somebody that hopefully will put it to use versus like saying, hey, let's just acquire, let's acquire the technology, but also, hey, we're just getting the people. So hopefully they do something with this, definitely for a business owner. So
here's hoping.
Yeah. So where to next?
Oh boy. So we got lots of places we could go. Let's talk about the Instagram changes. Reminders for product launches on Instagram shopping. This is kind of interesting. Reminding people, hey, we got a launch coming up, which right now is aimed at, at the apparel industry. Let's just be honest, right?
Right.
Yeah. The new Air Jordan 364 is launching today. Hey, that's pretty exciting, right? That's pretty cool. But I really see this drop part could eventually be used for normal businesses like ours, right? So I've got a new course on Thinkific that's coming out in 17 days, right? This could be really, really big if they offer this to more people. So Rob, what are you thinking about this one?
No, I'm same thing, Phil. So I think the retail industry is the easiest one to do this for. It's physical. There's launches. There's already a big market for it. But yeah, if they open this up to digital products, then yeah, that's going to be a huge game changer. It's going to make it a lot easier for people that are selling products, digital products, to do this. They're already doing this sort of product launch, and John Loomer and all those things, with the whole product launch thing. It's been a big thing for a long time. So to do this on Instagram would be a huge game changer for a lot of people. And I know a lot of course creators that are using Thinkific there, where Instagram is their main channel, and it's where they have their entire community, versus YouTube or Facebook groups or anything. So if they were to do this, then easily they could put up, hey, my membership is launching on November 1st. Pre-register now, that kind of thing. Then it'll make it a lot easier, and their revenues would skyrocket from there if they had this tool available.
Yeah, totally agree. Christian, what are you thinking about this one?
I think this is a very good feature, and what's so fascinating about all of this is that for the longest time, Facebook, they own Instagram, but they have tried to get people to buy through Facebook, and it just doesn't happen. And so basically, I actually see more convergence between Facebook and Instagram. I love the fact that now this is, it's almost like it needed to have a little bit of time to kind of simmer, kind of get things, right. Works perfectly on Instagram. Have a nice tie into stories, makes a lot of sense. People can easily, quickly check out and make a purchase, and then they can get a nice mobile notification. And this sticks with the whole mobile aspect that Instagram has always had. Now, looking at this from Facebook's perspective, at some point they could probably merge this functionality into Facebook Stories. They now have the ability for somebody in Stories to be able to also send you a messenger message. And so I think having the ability to do shopping reminders from Instagram, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's a great way for them to test the products as well. And as you guys mentioned, retail, it works perfect for retail. So
super easy.
Yeah. So and again, this is being tested. So Rob, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, I think it's different though, because with Facebook, I know that you can, obviously when you put stories up on Instagram, you can also, put it on Facebook stories. But I think that's an afterthought. I think most people are on Facebook, not for the stories. I don't know. I don't know. It's my own behavior, I guess. I'm just looking at it, and people that I'm around, even my own stories analytics, there's a lot less views on my Facebook stories versus Instagram stories, just because I think, people are accustomed to going through Instagram stories more rather than Facebook. They go through the feed. But yeah, just my thoughts. So
very possible. And again, we've talked about this before. Facebook has been really pushing to drive people away from newsfeed and more towards stories. Right. So I think this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys if this was rolled out, or obviously it is. They're working with Adidas and Adidas, Balmain. I don't know, some of these I don't see a lot of people buying Balmain, for example, through Instagram stories. That's not really the clientele. But interesting, we've got Levi's, we've got Michael Kors here, Net-a-Porter again. That's also a high-end brand as well. We've got NARS for makeup. We've got Revolve here. We've got who else do we have here? Soul Cycle, Warby Parker. Do you guys plan on doing any shopping directly from stories, or getting into that whole reminders?
Well, I love Warby Parker for sure. Right, glasses are my jam, man. I totally would love to see that.
Of course.
In fact, I'd like to see my folks over at Copper Hinge take this on, because they're not like Warby Parker in the fact that they do things they launch specifically, but I'd love to see every time they get a new color, that they could have a launch, right? Countdown or neon blue, because I'm waiting for those, right? I love my orange specs, don't get me wrong, but I tease them. I'm like, hey, when are we coming out with some neon blue ones? So as soon as we do, you can rest assured I'm going to buy them, and I'd love to be able to sign up and shop off of that, especially if I'm already logged in, it already connects to my prescription, and now it happens, right? That's seamless. Not that we can do one click like Amazon, but if I could do 3 clicks, I could make that happen. But a luxury brand, I mean, really, I don't think, I'm not seeing luxury purchases. Oh, $1,000, I'm going to do that off an Instagram buy. I don't think so. I think maybe I already had a relationship with them, but I don't know.
So I got one thing I want to add here real quick. You gave me this brilliant idea. So for example, what Instagram could theoretically do with these whole shopping reminders. So for example, we know that in Instagram stories, you have the polls feature, right? So let's walk through this. So somebody theoretically could say, hey, I'm going to run a poll on Instagram stories. They could gather some feedback, and then maybe behind the scenes, there's a way to then say, okay, hey, Phil said he likes the blue glasses. Rob says he likes, what's your favorite color, Rob?
Blue.
Blue. Okay. So they both like the blue glasses. And I said, hey, I like the orange ones, for example. And you could theoretically then have tracking, basically, I'm thinking here, to be able to then target those users with the specific reminder, for example. Maybe this is a new type of ad they might be running. But just a thought there. So.
Yeah. I mean, they could use it. I mean, even if they did it for like retargeting, just straight up retargeting. And then, so this is the way that you retarget people that visited your website, just like traditional retargeting. This is just another type of ad. We'll see what they do with it. It's always really interesting to me that they always go after the big brands. It reminds me of LinkedIn Live, where they gave it to the big brands first and influencers and handpicked them. But then it didn't really start taking off until sort of like the micro influencers and sort of like the people with maybe lesser reach, but very active. So I'd like to see this get rolled out to some of the smaller brands as well, and digital products. We'll see what they do with it.
Yeah. I think the digital products makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you really think about it, was it PLF? I think it is something along those lines, product launch formula, basically, where, I think that there could be a lot of usefulness, a lot of utility to this if they rolled out. But again, like you said, they start with big brands. They typically want to get a little traction. And that might be why they're shooting for like the people who are selling the high-end products, for example, because if they can all of a sudden drive, high-end sales, hey, we're selling, $1,000 outfits or jackets or whatever it is they're selling. I think that might encourage the small business to then say, hey, you know what? It can be successful if people remove $1,000 product. But again, you have to get the community behind you in order to move the needle. Totally. That's absolutely key. So if you're a small business, you're not seeing any results, you got to get a community, you got to get that base built. So anything else I want to add about these, these Instagram shopping reminders? I mean, they're not out yet.
I would just say, again, as a business though, start thinking about how you can add some excitement to when you do something new. Start thinking about your community and how you can get your community behind your launch, whether or not you use this or not, right? Strategically, there's a lot of stuff you can do here. A lot of stuff you can do, folks. So if you think more strategically, you can take advantage when this finally does roll out to you. Like Rob said, once we get this below the 10,000 threshold, to those of us that have, 100, 1,000 followers, I think this is big. And with that, we're always sharing ideas and insights that don't make it on the show. If you're looking for those, make sure that you sign up for our newsletter. It's at socialchefs.com/daily. We send it out every day so that you can get some great insight. Again, it's at socialchefs.com/daily. Now, including our podcast. So if you haven't yet checked that out, you'll be getting podcast episodes. You'll be getting 1 tip a day. You'll be getting great stuff. Again, that's at socialchefs.com/daily for the stuff that made it in the show and the stuff that didn't make it in the show.
So we've talked Instagram, we've talked Twitter, we've talked Logitech with Streamlabs. So like a little live video there. Where do you guys want to go next?
Oh, baby, let's go to LinkedIn, my favorite platform. Let's talk about that. Because this is
what
really
do we have going on here?
Okay, so LinkedIn Campaign Manager is adding some targeting logic, some demographic forecasts, some audience level demographic metrics coming soon. So now we can start seeing more information, more of the makeup of the target audience that you're looking for. This is really, really important because now we can really customize that forecast panel so we can expect, We've already got some matched audiences. Now, can we make sure that the demographic insights, so kind of combining the two, can we create the content and the good mix that it says here? In fact, we look right there at what Abhishek Shrivastava says about this. They've got some good stuff there, some Boolean logic, which is really interesting, and eventually some coming demographic metrics, which I think this is really important, coming at the audience level. So again, the more we get dialed in who our audience is, the more we can directly target them and have conversation with them and earn their attention. I don't know, Rob, what do you think? Do you do any LinkedIn advertising?
We don't do any LinkedIn advertising. All we do, everything that we do on LinkedIn is organic at this point. We are starting to look at doing that. Some more ads on LinkedIn, or starting to do ads on LinkedIn. I think it's a great channel. So yeah, this is definitely something I'm going to dig into. So it seems like this is something that you guys are doing already, right? You guys are doing ads on LinkedIn?
Yep. I'm doing some of this for some folks, right? I've played with this. I've used the sponsored in-mail. I'm curious to see how this goes beyond just marketing, though, because here's the thing. I'd love to see this information come into Sales Navigator so that my sales teams that I'm training have more data here so that we can start gathering this up so that they can say, you know what, I'm going to spend those 90 in-mail credits. I'm going to save them until Tuesday because we're dropping a big piece of content that is really going to serve our audience well. And now I'm going to be able to combine that. Plus, I could see then if we can flow that marketing information through to the CRM, I can then see that not only did they click on the webinar, because that's nice, right? They clicked on a webinar, but did they actually engage? How long did they spend? What's their pattern? Are they always online on Tuesdays? Those are sorts of things that I want to see that I think would be really valuable, with me as a sales trainer, because then I can start training my sales team even stronger.
Nice.
So what are you thinking, Christian?
Oh, I'm thinking this is we always bagged on LinkedIn a lot of times, with all the updates they were missing. And, I got to say, I really like what they're starting to do now. They're starting to really put those pieces into place and to put them into play, actually. And, I really like to see that they're doing this because I think a business can really benefit from LinkedIn because, again, where, your customers are going to probably be on LinkedIn for the most part. You just have to be really smart with how you're trying to engage with them. And I think, for example, in this case, having, the updated campaign manager with audience forecasting, I think that's going to help you also understand more about who you're trying to reach, who all might be on LinkedIn, for example, what type of, how active they are and that sort of thing. So I think this is a very, very, very good update.
Awesome. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I totally agree. I think LinkedIn is headed in the right direction. So once they started doing some more retargeting, it just makes sense that they offer this stuff. And again, though, it's got to tie back to CRMs. It can't just tie back to marketing metrics. And I know that it's easier to do this at a big scale, but seriously, because LinkedIn shortens the URLs of everything you post anyway, there's no reason they can't make those specific to the campaign you're doing and the person that you're targeting so that it adds a custom UTM code at the end. So I can actually see that Rob clicked it, that Christian clicked it, that Phil clicked it. I think that's coming next, which is going to be huge. Now, that being said, it's also huge as a privacy concern, which I imagine will conk out Great Britain and anybody that's GDPR, though it's possible that if I don't disclose their name, that I just disclose enough information that I can then just continue to build that dossier, if you will, of information without having to say that this is actually Rob, thus getting around the PII information. I don't know. We'll see, though. But this is fascinating. LinkedIn is going in the right direction. I'm really glad to see it. I've got to see this more, though, inside of Sales Navigator, inside my CRM, especially if I'm using Dynamics or Salesforce, which are the two big ones that LinkedIn is supporting.
Absolutely. Anything else you'll want to add on all these updates from LinkedIn?
Nothing for me.
Rob, anything you want to add? Any tips you want to share with viewers?
No, everything that we do with LinkedIn is all organic, and a lot of it is video. So, this is something, like I said, we're not doing any ads yet, but it's definitely something we're going to be digging into. So I might have to pick your guys' brain on it.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you want really the best, Rob, I recommend talk to AJ Wilcox. Listen to our past episodes. Check AJ out at b2link.com. AJ's the king at LinkedIn. I got to hang out with him a couple of weeks ago in Utah. The guy's even smarter in person than he is online. I mean, the guy's freaking brilliant. So definitely talk to AJ.
Sounds good. Done.
Yeah.
Reach out to him.
Where do we go next?
Where do we go next? Well, let's see. So let's go to Facebook's got one more silly little thing here before we go to tool time. And that is they're announcing Horizon, a virtual reality massive multiplayer world, much like Ready Player One, much like Second Life, which I remember 15 years ago, my buddy Ryan Rasmussen was big in a Second Life. That was actually how I got to know him, not because I played, but because he was the guy. And I was like I would refer to AJ, I'd say Ryan is the guy for Second Life marketing. And so it's pretty crazy to think that now, 15 years later, now because VR is coming back, Facebook's got Horizon. So Rob, are you going to play this? Are you Ready Player One?
I don't know. I was never in Second Life or anything like that. So we'll see. I mean, again, I didn't even realize that there was Second Life marketing. This is all new world to me. So might be something we'll need to explore. How about you guys?
This is going to be a really interesting update. I think, because of the fact that Facebook already has, the virtual personas, I think this is going to be a really, really, really interesting update once it starts to really kind of take hold, because what you're going to also have happen is people are going to be able to create these virtual personas. And I think LinkedIn had this happen where people were Instagram had this where people were able to advertise on these virtual personas. So they weren't actually using their own selves in these advertisements. So I think that this will be a really interesting thing if it, if it does get some traction.
Yeah, I totally agree. Rob, you're going to say something though.
No, I wonder what people will use it for. Like, I wonder what people will use it for the way that they use Second Life.
Well, I think introverts, right? Introverts will totally flock to this because it's easier to interact if you don't have to worry about appearance. You can, you don't have to worry about some of the things that often make us more self-conscious, give us more anxiety, right? I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is to test stuff out, right? So maybe they have an alter ego, if you will. I think that's pretty fun and gives people an opportunity, to explore another side of themselves if they're worried about that, or if they live in a remote place. I mean, if you have high-speed internet now, you can interact. Like, I live 52 miles outside of Tampa now. Well, I might want to interact on Horizon here with other people. Now, the challenge is, as much as I like you, Christian, if you dress up like a girl in Horizon, dude, and I dance with you, I'm going to be pretty disappointed when I meet you in person. So I'm just saying, right? So no, but I mean it though, right? That whole catfishing thing is kind of weird. So that's my concern, right? So as much as I think it's got possibility, I think it's also got some of the freak factor, which is kind of weird. But you know what? I mean, frankly, that's the case anyway. You'd think that perhaps we'll get less attached to traditional things and more attached to who the person is inside, which is probably going to upset our 3 people who are religious fundamentalists that watch the podcasts or watch the show, right? Right.
Yeah, so, I wonder if they'll also tie it into I think Facebook dating, right? I mean, I don't know. So I don't know if they'll tie it into that. It's really interesting what these what Facebook is trying.
Yeah. I think you guys make some great points. I mean, with this, so I was talking about a second ago about having the virtual reality, the VR personas. Facebook on October 25th, they're going to shut down their existing social VR experiences, Facebook Spaces, Oculus Rooms, obviously, to make room for this whole Facebook Horizon thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not entirely sold on this. I think that, at some point it could be a really cool thing where somebody could have basically a 3D virtual storefront in a way. So it takes your website. Again, it's also a way to keep you on Facebook properties and not drive people to your website. But I think, we'll see what kind of utility comes out of this. It's really fascinating.
Here's one other concern is, Facebook made a big push for a while about real identity. Right. Real identity, right? So you have to upload your driver's license. You have to verify who you are. You have to pick a gender. Now that they're going towards more VR, I wonder if that's going to change, right? I wonder if advertising is going to change as we think about this, because Rob, you might really like Doritos and pepperoni pizza in real life, But on this platform, you might really want to try cheese curds and cheese pizza, right? And I think this could provide some interesting challenges for this. And if we split this a third way and we think about Facebook at work, this is Facebook in the meat space, this is Facebook in the workspace, and this is Facebook in the virtual space. And I think this is interesting how we might split this up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, and going back to your whole, Ready Player One thing that we talked about, Ready Player One basically had it where you had somebody that was not like, if you remember the opening scene, not to ruin this for anyone, but if you watch the opening scene, it was a character that was very different from the person in real life, and to me that's a big concern. I mean, because we're moving towards, there's obviously lots of virtual personas across all of the social media channels. On Instagram, people, for example, have multiple profiles. On Twitter, for example, they're maybe not themselves at all. On Facebook, they're trying to not be themselves either. Maybe they'll upload a profile picture that's not even them. But they still want to be able to interact with people, but not necessarily let people see who they are. So this is going to be a really fascinating thing to see what actually happens, what changes. Does this get into privacy concerns and whatnot as well? Where somebody, for example, maybe connected with somebody through this, Facebook Horizon space, and then it turns out, hey, they weren't the same person. What's that going to do for things as well? And especially from a bullying perspective, I mean, that's just introduces a whole nother, opens a whole nother can of worms that, we really don't want to discuss. But I mean, it's something that it's a problem. So this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Christian. It's really, it's an interesting time that they would do it because of with the trend when the whole Cambridge Analytica thing happened and all that stuff. And then really Facebook users, they gravitated to smaller communities. They wanted to get to know the people that they were interacting with, and privacy policy is a huge thing. It's interesting that they're going this direction where we haven't used it, but you can be anybody. Privacy is very loose. So yeah, it's interesting how it all plays out and what people will use it for. I mean, from a business standpoint, I'm not sure. There was talks before, some people were saying hey, it would be cool, 10 years from now, online education, online courses, you could put your VR glasses on and goggles on, and you could, show up in a classroom, and you're sitting in your own, you'll be sitting in your living room, but then you put your your goggles on, and then you're in a classroom. Maybe there's a classroom that you set up on a beach, or a traditional classroom, and so online course creators can sort of leverage this technology to bring people together and make that feel like a classroom setting. So that might be a bigger possibility now as they open this kind of thing up, but. Yeah, I'm just trying to think from a business standpoint, how this can be used by different entrepreneurs.
Well, it's community, right, Rob? I mean, really think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your big thing. I think you have an opportunity here to set up a virtual classroom to, with Thinkific, right? If this integrated with Thinkific, I could totally see where this could be a virtual classroom where instead of just broadcasting it as a video, now I could have some interaction, right? Where I could broadcast it up there. I could set students in there and they could ask each other questions. We could talk in real time. And again, based on their avatar. So companies wouldn't have to worry so much about the fact that, oh no, they're with their competitors. No, stop. That's not what I'm worried about here. What I'm worried about is I want them to learn. That's the most important thing, right? As a sales trainer, I get asked all the time, so how do we make these learnings more immersive? Well, one of the ways that we're doing it at Vector is we're being more virtual reality, right? We're doing more VR stuff because people want to see that. Now, if we could interact, right? If I could create a community for all the firefighters that might buy our learning management system, now we've got a totally different solution here. Now we've got an opportunity where we could collaborate and get 1,000 firefighters together, have them, put that fire out over there together based on this. And they're already on Facebook. They're already using this. Not all of them, right? But many of them as individuals are. And as they might not have to disclose on their profile that they're a firefighter, because then the neighbors would flock to them every time there's a fire, which is probably their concern. But if they just set it up and then they go into this virtual world, again, the third space, now we've got a different conversation. I think this is pretty darn cool. This has a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I bet.
So, Christian, what did I miss, buddy? What else do you want to say on this?
I don't have anything else to say, actually. I'm very intrigued to see what direction it takes. You know, and again, I mean, Facebook's pushing out a lot more products. You know, I think that, you know, from the business perspective aspect for all of these things, I think you need to think about your business. And we talked about this at the beginning of the show. You have to have a strategy. What are you as a business, you know, what are you doing to meet your customers there? What are the pain points you're solving? But then what product are you using to get in front of your customer? There are lots and lots and lots of options out there. You know, don't, it's almost like this, like if you go, for instance, and you take the whole buffet approach and you eat every little thing, you consume everything, you're like, hey, I'm gonna do all this stuff for my customers. You're gonna burn yourself out and you're gonna confuse your customers. You have to, you know, align yourself with your customers, what they're interested in, and don't just try to push everything just because, hey, you know, oh, this is the next cool thing. You know, that's my big thing there. But aside from that, I mean, I think this is going to be a really interesting, if they get this all rolled out. I think 2020 is going to be a really fascinating year to see how things, you know, start to like really push beyond just, you know, hey, I'm online, I'm typing.
Yeah, and integrate with Oculus Rift, right? I think we're going to see that this is really smart. This makes the hardware play, plus the software play, plus the software as a service play really, really strong, right? Because you're going to need some development gear to download it, right? The SDK has got to be there as well. To that point, right? You're going to see communities. But one thing to note, again, folks, as you're listening to this, you're probably like, what the heck are these guys talking about? But the good news is just pay attention, right? See where this is going. Think about different ways that you could incorporate in person and take it online. That's really what we're talking about here. Imagine a virtual wine tasting or a virtual fashion show, or imagine it's a virtual trade show where you get 20 vendors together and they all show their wares, and you have to really be interesting. And now it cuts down on travel costs. It cuts down on, you know, room costs. It cuts down on a lot of these costs that are hard costs. So as I see it, right, I'm also a professional speaker, and I totally see speakers are going to have to be able to engage people in virtual reality, much the same as they have to do it offline. So pay attention to this. This is really cool. This has got a lot of potential, and be ready 2020 and beyond, really, because Facebook said limited beta in Q1 of 2020, which tells me big rollout probably end of the year, which means most people will not see this until 2021.
Definitely. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, it's our favorite time. Hey, Rob, do you know how to do the worm and other dances? Because when tool time comes, it's time to dance, man. Yeah, we do the tool time dance. So now dance, Rob, dance, right? Everybody gets to see us dance. It's tool time. For those of you that are new to tool time, this is the time we dance and we talk about 2 tools that you can use to build your business. 2 tools that are super useful, things that you can do right now or in the future to integrate into your business. Again, I always think strategy first, but do think about those tools. Doing the Cabbage Patch, doing the sprinkler, we're doing the dance. It's time for tool time.
So where do you want to start, by the way, Phil? We have a couple of tools today.
Yeah, well, let's not start with Rob's tool. Let's actually start with a fun tool called Rocketbook, which is really interesting. This is a really fun tool. I've used this for a while. It's called Rocketbook, and more than just a tool, it's actually a notebook, which is really freaking slick. So Rocketbook offers so much here. So it's good that you brought it up. I'm off camera because I'm grabbing mine. I brought mine in today so I can show it off because I think Rocketbook is a great tool. So this is my Rocketbook, and it is filled with notes here. So as we look here, all sorts of notes that I have. What I love about it is, first, I can snap a picture with my phone, and it will optically character recognize my words. So if I type very well, it will do that. Okay, so it will do that, and it will then upload them to the cloud. And you can erase the paper. So Rob, do you use Rocketbook?
I don't use Rocketbook. I use it. No, I don't.
So I actually use one of these, Phil, as well, by the way. And what is really fascinating about this notebook is, part of it is the fact that, like, hey, it's a reusable notebook, but it also does OCR recognition, as you mentioned, but also along the bottom, at least on the version I have, you can, for example, let's say we were wanting to work on something. And what I can do is I can write out my notes, I can do my drawings there, and then I can have these connected digitally, whether they go to Google Drive or an email address or Evernote or pretty much any platform that you're using. And what you can do is basically just check the box, open up their free app, and then what it will do is it will send all of your information in glorious high resolution to the cloud, basically, or it can automatically email multiple people. So it's a fantastic tool. Not to mention, there's the reusability factor of it. So
that's awesome. So how do you guys reuse it? So you just wipe? Is it kind of like a dry erase?
Yeah. So no. So actually,
which one do you have, Phil? Actually,
yeah, I've got the Rocketbook. I want to say it's the Everlast one. And what you do, yep, it's the Everlast. So what you do is you actually just get their little paper, their little cloth, a little bit wet, and you wipe it off. Now, here's the thing that many people miss, and I missed this the first couple times too, and wrecked a couple of notebooks, and that is you have to let it dry.
Okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
You have to let it dry. Now, that seems really obvious when I say that, but you can't even have it a little bit damp. So instead of letting it dry, I would encourage you to get another cloth and gently wipe it dry. So once that happens, then you have that. Now, the other one is the microwavable one, which...
And that's the one I have, actually.
Yeah. Christian, does that work? I'm skeptical.
It does, actually. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. So talk about that one. What's the difference?
So basically what I do with mine is, so while yours is more of a whiteboard material where you can wipe it off, mine is more like writing on a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, or depending on the size of the notebook you purchase. I write on it. It then will basically adhere to the paper, no problem, like normal paper. I put it in the microwave with a cup of water on top, and it will erase the entire notebook. Pretty much goes back to brand new.
Oh, wow.
And you can reuse it multiple times. It's a pretty fantastic notebook. I share it with a lot of my colleagues all of the time, just at how versatile it is. So I do have a video, by the way, I can play as well if you want me to. Yeah, so we can do that. And then I also want to talk about another product they have as well. And again, I'm not getting paid to talk about their product, but it is a fantastic product line that they offer. So let's play this video real quick.
Where are they based out of? Do you guys know?
I don't. That's an interesting video. We don't hear the sound. I'm not quite sure where they're based out of. I remember when they did an Indiegogo or a GoFundMe when they first did this. It was really interesting. I was really surprised because the first version. I'm just going to say the first version sucked. I had the first version. It didn't work. Right. So, but now it's pretty slick. It's pretty slick. It's a really good tool, and what's even more improved, and this is actually what I think makes it worth it, is the optical character recognition. The OCR ability is so much better, and maybe it's because I print better. I don't think so though. I think it's just stronger. So I absolutely dig this. Now, again, my challenge is it does feel like I'm writing on plastic. It doesn't give me the moleskin-like feel, and with the Everlast, I actually have to use their pen. So as I look here, I'm going to, this is what a nerd I am. They have pens that you can use. So I've got an orange pen here, the Friction Ball Slim. I go to jetpens.com and I get this one. It's a nice pen. It's 0.3. But what I also like is they also have this one, which is the Friction, because they're all erasable, right? That's how it does it. They're erasable. So this is a nice pen, and this is the first one that I've found that actually feels like a real pen, because otherwise they feel so cheap and plasticky. That's a challenge because I'm a pen snob, Rob. I'm just going to tell you, I'm a big pen snob. I go to jetpens.com and I get good pens all the time, and I'm actually saving up to get the new one of the new pens from Mont Blanc. Because they've got a 50th anniversary of the moon landing. So I'm looking for one of those. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. But they also have, the Rocketbook 1, which is one-time use, which is really interesting, right? If you just want the optical character recognition, you get the 1 and it works just fine. And one other secret that Rocketbook doesn't want you to know is you can make photocopies of the pages.
Yes.
And you can actually create your own notebook, which is really slick. It's really slick. And I say that they don't want you to know. I don't think they care. But I would tell you that their notebooks are good. If you're going to use the Rocketbook 1, though, you should probably just photocopy pages yourself and make them. It does not, though, number them. So it makes uploading a little bit weirder. which is some of the magic of the tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I mean, I know, on a daily basis, there's some meetings that I don't want to take my laptop to, my MacBook to, and start taking notes. I just want to take a notebook, and then, but then later on, I'd have to, transfer all that information and all those notes digitally to share it with whoever I met with or the team or whatever. So, this looks very cool. Definitely have to look into it.
It's pretty fantastic. I mean, and they have different sizes. So, for example, you've got the Everlast. It's about $34. Remember, it's actually not that expensive if you think about it from a notebook perspective. $34 for a reusable notebook, one that's high quality. They also offer some other ones, as Phil mentioned. They also offer smaller ones as well, if that's your thing. But it's a really fantastic product. And Phil, I also want to talk about one other tool that they offer, and that is called the Rocketbook Beacon. So actually, give me 1 second. And I'm going to show you guys this as well, because this is a pretty cool product. So I'll be right back.
All right.
Cool. So Christian's got this cool tool. He said he's running away. So Rob, this Rocketbook here, I think that this works as people take notes in your class, right? This could be something that could absolutely be used in conjunction with with the Thinkific class, right? This could be something you guys might even want to talk about, because again, as people reuse this could be a really neat tool for people to really expand their learning and to really help them, reuse, repurpose, and redo some things. So really neat tool. So
absolutely.
Yep. So let's see. Christian
I should be back on.
There we go. There's the beacons.
So those are the beacons, and I actually have the beacons here. If you guys can see.
Okay, we don't see you. We don't see you, but we see the beacons.
So I actually have the beacons. They're pretty fantastic as well. Basically, the way they work, you attach them to a whiteboard. So those of you who use whiteboards and you draw different, if you draw something on the whiteboard, for example, what do most people do? They take a photo of the whiteboard. It ends up being, for example, maybe it's too shiny, maybe the angle's not good. It doesn't look clear, crisp and clear. So what the beacon does basically is it sets the boundaries of your whiteboard, and then you can basically automatically snap using the Rocketbook app whatever's on your whiteboard.
This isn't out yet, though, right?
Well, I've had these for a few months actually.
Really? Because it says
not really out. Yeah,
it says that it's not out, but this is great.
Yeah, I was an early adopter actually of these. So I have quite a few of them here actually. They're fantastic. Now, what this thing also does, which I think is a really fantastic feature, is you can set up a camera, for example, on a tripod, a smartphone, and so forth, and you can have it automatically capture as you are drawing out something on a whiteboard. So if you draw it on the whiteboard, it's capturing a photo and basically making an animated GIF or a video that you can then send to people. For example, Rob, maybe they're doing one of these during a course. Using Thinkific, for example, they could easily capture this information, and so people don't, they don't just have to like look at this picture and try to figure out, well, where do I start? What's step one? Yeah. They can actually go through the entire process. So that's the Rocketbook Beacon that's available. So and it's pretty much basically this diagram right here. So so that is Rocketbook Beacons.
Fantastic. Well, lots of good stuff there. Rob and I were talking that, this could be something that could totally be integrated into Thinkific, which is our second tool here. And it's actually Rob is a community manager there. And just full disclosure, I before Rob even came on, and I even know who Rob was, I was using Thinkific. I've got it on my courses. I've got my LinkedIn Sales Blueprint is up there, and it's a great platform. It works really, really well. Really, really well. So
that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So how long have you had your course for there, Phil?
About 6 months. About six months. I've made about $4,000, which makes me pretty happy. Yep. So it works out really well. I like the ability to customize. So folks, if you haven't seen Thinkific, Christian, you want to share Thinkific with us here so we can talk through this?
Yeah, I can do that. Or actually, Rob, do you have anything you want to share with viewers?
Yeah, or you got something, Rob? Either way.
Yeah, we can share my screen. Yeah, it's just the Thinkific website, so I'll share it here.
Sure.
2 seconds. So share content. There you go. So there you go. So yeah, so this is our website. Yeah, so Thinkific. Just if somebody's not familiar with Thinkific, it's a platform that you can use to create, market, and sell online courses, training programs. Also, you can build out membership sites. So, if you're looking to build like a subscription-based business. So yeah, no, we have a ton of course creators here. Some of them are featured. Tiffany, the Budgetista, Sarah Cordner, just tons of different, course creators. There's tons of different niches that use, coaches, authors, speakers, YouTubers, creatives, people that you would normally think that sell digital products and info products. But there's also a lot of people that you wouldn't think. There's a gentleman named, for example, Cliff, who is, Cakes by Cliff. He's based out of Australia, and he sells, he teaches people how to bake cakes. Nice. And very cool brand, like very masculine brand for a baking brand. But yeah, he's doing that, and he's now gone completely away from, actually selling, like baking cakes, taking orders and stuff. He just goes on now and just teaches people how to do it. There's a lady named Mimi G, who teaches people how to sew. There's a lady that teaches people how to hula hoop, who has a 6-figure business doing that online. So yeah, it's a really interesting time with online courses.
So Rob, the question I have for you about Thinkific. So, you mentioned that people can use it to create a membership site and that type of thing. So, and maybe you could talk to this, because I'm sure you get this question a lot. People are probably thinking, well, hey, I want to keep people on my website. They want to build a membership site into their website, whether that's a WordPress site or, maybe they're using Squarespace or things like that. Do you have any recommendations on people on why they should or should not use or try to build a membership site?
A membership site? Yeah. So, obviously the pro for building a membership site is having that predictable revenue, right? So also I've talked to and worked with a lot of influencers and course creators that have turned their individual courses into membership sites. Okay. One of the main reasons is for marketing. It's just way easier for them to market membership sites, because they don't have to do the whole product launch thing. Each month they're launching a product, they're hyping it up, they're doing a launch, they're building momentum, and then they have to go and do the next launch, and so forth. So rather than doing that, they've built a membership site, kind of like a Netflix, basically a Netflix model, where all of their content pushes to the membership. So then they don't have to worry about, product launches and things like that. They can just go on and do interviews, podcasts, webinars, go on stage. And everything that they do is the whole call to action is just go to the membership site. You can access all of the information there. So that's one of the positives of running a membership site. It's just easier to market in some ways. And also they're able to just, deliver as much information and as much,
Say that again, Rob.
Oh, having to worry about, how much should I charge for this? They just know that their members are there each month, so they can pour into their members. Yeah.
Hey, Rob, one question, man. One of the challenges that I have with Thinkific, and I don't know if you can help with this or you can just pass this back, is I'd like to be able to retarget. Right? I'd like to be able to add the Facebook pixel. I'd like to be able to do stuff like that. Is that coming soon in the platform?
Yeah. You should be able to add Facebook pixels now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'll send you a quick video on how to do that.
Awesome.
But yeah, you should be able to add Facebook pixels now. No,
I'm probably doing it wrong, so that's why I asked. So
no, it's all good.
Cool.
All good. Yeah,
awesome.
we try to make it as easy as possible. We have a fantastic community, like you said. I manage our community right now, so we've got over 16,000 members there. So if you are new to online courses and you're just kind of like, hey, is this a real thing? My suggestion is, if you don't want to sign up for an account, you don't have to. There is a free account that you can sign up for, but I would highly suggest to go and just join their community and just start listening to conversations there. Ask your questions, because we have a fantastic group of people that are there every single day, and they're sharing ideas and sort of hurdles and best practices and things like that all day.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. And, and kind of back to the other question I had earlier, about like building a membership site, why should somebody use, for example, a Thinkific product over trying to build it in their WordPress website? Like, do you guys, is it more seamless? Is it, is there a bandwidth issue usually if you try to put it on your own website? Because again, I'm sure you get that question, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course. And you know what? I always say, like, there's a lot of different solutions out there. Thinkific is one of them. If you're looking to build a white labeled, online course and membership platform where you can integrate your existing tools, right? So a lot of people already come with built-in, hey, I already use, ActiveCampaign or MailChimp, and I use Stripe already. I use all these tools already. If you want to bring all those tools that you already have in place and then just add the online course aspect to it, then that's what Thinkific is for. So that's what we do. But as far as WordPress, the things that come up all the time when people come into our community and say like, hey, we're coming over from WordPress, is because WordPress, you have to manage it on your own. If there's a WordPress update, then your site needs updating. You need to bring a developer in. You need to bring a designer in. All that stuff. We're an all-in-one solution. So we have a whole team of developers that are here, making sure that your site is always running. Especially if you have students, right? Students that are logging into your website, into your courses on a daily basis. You don't want downtime. So that's why people migrate to us typically when they come from WordPress. The pain point is that, we don't want to update it. We want to make sure it's up to date all the time and it's always up. And so that's why they come to us. So, yeah.
And, and I guess the other key thing with that is people spend time actually running their business than letting their business run them, basically, if they're trying to manage it all themselves through, say, a WordPress hosted website. And again, as you also mentioned, I mean, it's key to have, your site up. I mean, it has to be a good user experience, and you guys are professionals at doing that. As opposed to like somebody says, hey, I'm going to install some WordPress plugins. And then it's like, well, how do I kind of build this Franken website? To kind of put everything together and make everything also seamless. And, and that's not exactly easy to do when you start to incorporate plugins that some don't play well together. So
exactly. I mean, that's exactly how actually this it's a long story, but the short story is that that's actually how Thinkific was born, because our founder, he built his course this was 7 years ago, and at the time there was no platform like Thinkific, and so he had to smash together, like that kind of a Franken website with WordPress and different plugins and stuff like that, and it was very unstable. And so he said, you know what, we need to build something. Luckily, his brother was a developer, and so they built Thinkific, the first versions of it, and so that's what it is now. And it's still the whole spirit of Thinkific is still to make it, take away the tech part of building online courses for entrepreneurs. So that's what we're still trying to do every single day.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
So, by the way, Rob, so if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the best way is, like Phil said, my favorite platform is LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn, just copy and paste my name because my last name is a little long, but copy and paste that into LinkedIn and you'll find me. I'm on there on a daily basis. And then, and I mean, I'm also on Instagram and then also on YouTube. So, but yeah, and then anything Thinkific, I'm usually the person behind any of the private messages. If you want to message in with any questions or anything, I'm usually behind the scenes there.
Very cool. Is there a Facebook group or anything that people can join once they get started with Thinkific? I don't know if you want to drop that as well in the Facebook comments.
Sure.
If it's something that they should become a part of to help them get those questions answered faster, obviously by the other users of Thinkific.
Is it the Thinkific Studio for online course creators? Is that the one, Rob, that you're recommending?
Yeah, that's the one. So just join there. And now, so our community is there, and then also our teams are there as well. So support team members, myself, marketing team members, even our product teams are chiming in and answering questions there and listening to the conversations for future updates and things like that. So yeah, that's the best place to start and connect with the team.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That's super helpful, Rob. Thank you so much, man. Go ahead, Christian.
Rob, I want to thank you for joining us this week for Social Chatter episode 211. Again, everybody, if you want to connect with Rob, do a search for his name, just copy and paste it. You can find him on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much every social media channel. Also very active in the live streaming community as well. But thank you very much for joining us. Phil, any parting thoughts you want to add?
No. So, well, I guess the only parting thought is one that I add every week, and that is think strategically, right? Don't do this alone. If you have questions, ask us. Feel free to join our community as well. Take advantage of the fact that Christian and I are willing to help you. If you have questions, if you have insights, connect with Rob, get connected, ask questions, learn more, and then actually do something. You don't have to do everything we talk about, but do something. Take some action. Have something in mind that you can do for a next step, because the last thing you want your businesses to do is to get stale. So do something fun, make it happen, ask for help, and go get it.
So we'll see you all next week, next Thursday, I think, Phil, right? At 8 a.m. dinner time. We're going to have Beth. I think Beth Granger is going to be our guest on.
Beth Granger. That's fantastic that we're having my buddy Beth on. Beth is a LinkedIn expert, so she's someone that I certainly look to for help, and I'm really excited that she's here. And she is a LinkedIn Live beta user. So if you don't know Beth and you're like, hey, how does your LinkedIn Live work? She has a show every week, and she's fantastic. So check her out.
So we'll be broadcasting 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Facebook.com/Social Chefs. Also over on YouTube, YouTube.com/Social Chefs. And we're going to have a blog post recap going out tomorrow, socialchefs.com/SC211. But I want to thank Rob. Thank you so much for spending your time. Thanks for getting up for us. But we will see everyone next week. You all have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.